Welcome to Light the Path, the podcast that brings you inspiring stories of courage, strength, and faith. Listen in as we explore how God's love and grace can inspire and motivate us to overcome life's challenges and light the path forward.
Hello, Pathfinders. How are y'all? What is going on? What are you up to? How have you been? Thank you so much for coming back, returning to Light the Path podcast. I'm your host, Deborah the Queen. You can call me DQ if you're feeling fancy. But look, take time to subscribe to this channel. There will be various things besides the podcast going on. But today, oh man, season 5 of Light the Path podcast is all about grace. And today, the title of this one, this is good. Grace in Verses. Exploring the poetry of Tony A. Watts. Y'all help me welcome Tony to Light the Path.
That was amazing. That was great. What's up, DQ?
Hey. Thank you so much for being on today, taking time to chat with me and the Pathfinders here on Light the Path podcast. I am so thankful for you. This has been a long time coming because one of the notes that I had with your name on it in my phone was from 2021, believe it or not.
Wow. Those were good times. Those were
good times.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of good podcast days. But look, I'm thankful for those days, and they were good times. But there's so much more. There's so much more that the Lord has not, let our eyes see. So those were good times. We ain't, we love those times, but we know what the God has more in store. And today, we want to dig into. I got her right here. I got to bring her up. I got to bring her to the stage. Whispers of May. Ooh. Yes. And this the hard copy. She good looking.
Yeah, and she feel good in your hands too.
She good looking. She reads well. The pages turn so good. I mean, I've thoroughly been enjoying this. And what I wanted to talk about is grace, because that's what season 5 is about. And the first thing I wanted to know from you, Tony, is can you talk about the inspiration behind the title and how it ties into the whole book?
Oh, there you go. Okay. We're just going to jump in feet first. Okay, great. So the person that the book is about, her name is May. I call her May. She's extended name, but I call her May. So this experience began late May, early June. So when I came with a title, it was Whispers of May. So, and those who know. Now, those who listen to this podcast will know as well.
Because that's what we want. We want to shed the light on, all of this and that. And so, ladies, if, he says, you make me feel like May, you make me feeling like, you're encompassing Whispers of May, then you're on the right track. So there is someone out there walking with her book like, just call me May. I love that. Because I like a good pet name, here and there. I like but May, I would not have thought that was one, but I like it. Now, how do you define grace in your own writing as you're writing different books? I mean, this is your second poetry book. I have your first book here as well. So how do you define grace?
In this context, I think grace is just God giving me the ability to write. I've said this often. I'll continue to say it because I think people get caught in what people say they are or they are not. I do not like English. I do not like English now. If you told my 7th or 8th grade English teacher that Tony Watts wrote a book, she'd be turning around her grades right now going, no, that's impossible. So the grace of having a heartbreak brought me into the space of writing. The grace of allowing me to, because God is good all the time, for allowing me to see the errors of my ways, for allowing me to understand that in certain situations I was the problem. There's grace in that, right? because some people have not gotten out of their own way to understand some of the situations that you've gotten yourself in or you're in now. It's not that the other person was bad or toxic or the new slang word narcissistic. It's because you made decisions to allow these things to happen. So God gave me the grace to understand that you need to do some work. God also gave me the grace to have someone believe in me when no one else believed that I could write, that this writing thing could even happen. So that's what I would say with grace when it comes to me and writing.
So very good. And you said that while you were hurting, because the note that I had in here for you from 2021, okay? Let me just read it verbatim because it was so good. The note that I had for you, it says, hunting while hurt. Let's dig into that. So when you wrote this, were you already on your healing journey or were you hunting while hurt?
No, Whispers of May was healed. This is the heal Tony.
Okay.
This is the heal Tony. If you pick up Confessions of an Infant's Heart, those poems was written anywhere between the time. Okay, let me slow down. I have a friend her name is Love Tucker. You know Love Tucker. So she introduced me to a jazz group, right? And what I did was I really liked the jazz group so much. They had 12 songs. So I wrote 12 poems to the 12 songs. Then what I did was I went back, and after I wrote those poems, I said, let me go back into my archives and stuff that I have and see. So I came up with about 100 poems. I sent it to Love Tucker. I sent it to my friend named Yolanda. I sent it to my son. I sent it to about 3 or 4 other people and let them choose the poetry for me. But those poems were written when I was in a state of trying to find out who I was, trying to make my way through the pain. So a lot of that Confessions of an Infant's Heart comes from that healing journey. When you're in the middle of the journey and you get your knees scraped up, you don't think nothing's going to work out. You look at love from a whole different perspective because I hadn't come full circle to begin to love myself again. So I would say that's where that came.
So good. See, I wasn't gonna bring it up, but I'm glad that you did. I got him. I got him right here. I'm gonna say this is the him. This is him.
Right.
This is him. He's that guy. Okay, that's what the young people say. He's that guy. I love the cover as well on this one.
My son designed that.
It feels like how it reads, how it looks like. It feels like, okay, you had to pull this from a time, a place, and I actually enjoyed this one just as much. And so as I was preparing to do the live that we did previously, I had to get this out because I was like, man, these are 2 different feels.
Yes.
And so that's why I had to ask you about, where were you at that time when you wrote those? So if you could, I guess, choose a poem from Whispers of May, I guess, even what's your favorite one from Whispers of May? Because it's hard. I have a top 3. So which one is your favorite?
That's a hard ask. 6 Seconds is one of my favorites. Museum Date is a favorite. Of course, Prayer for the One I Love is a favorite. The one that resonates with me a lot, because I just want to put this out here. The healing journey is a continuous journey, right? So the weight of breaths, that really resonates with me. And I really didn't understand it when I wrote it because I wrote it from a different perspective. I was looking at someone else's situation and I was writing it, right? So when I went back and I started really reading it, it's about me. It's about me grabbing onto trying to be Superman, trying to carry everyone else's weight, and then wondering why I'm so out of it. So out of, there's pain, there's anguish, there's isolation, there's a lot of things that's in there. So when you read The Weight of Breaths, that's I'm talking to myself, actually.
I love that. And I think those, I mean, from cover to cover, I haven't even read it from cover to cover. I don't think I can because it's like once I get to a certain point, then I'm like, oh, let me go back because that was good. Or like, oh, well, I read ahead. Let me go back. So I've
Right,
been
right.
flipping, dipping. And I mean, I love the titles. I love all the ones that you have in there. Could you share about a moment possibly in your life where you found grace in the midst of adversity, especially when you were going through this process of combining all the poems, getting the collection together? Did you run into anything there as you were doing the process?
Um, like I said before, the whole walk is grace. It's God's love, God's ability to speak. Because I look at it this way. My friends call me, or used to call me, a bull in the china closet, because I express myself from a standpoint of this is what I want. I don't care. I don't care where I'm at. I don't care how loud I
Mhm.
am. You know, it's that that masculine destructive energy, not masculine good energies, not masculine destructive energy. The grace is God allowing me to have people around me to help me mature that, right? Help me be a more of a person who can be quiet, who can subtly have conversations, who can talk a person out of getting beat up. You know what I mean? Like, because people look at you and say, "Oh well," especially the young guys. Let me test them. Let me try them. Right. So wisdom has taught me, and grace. This is God's grace, because I know a lot of people are still out in the streets acting like they're 12 and 14 years old. It's great to have grace to mature, to have people around you to help you mature, like older mentors, younger people, best friends who help you mature, who help you get to another level. So I would say that's a point of grace for me.
So good. That is so good. I mean, maturity is top tier, as they say,
Yes.
right? It's top tier as you get to this process. So that's beautiful how you put that. What about as you were getting this creative process? How was the editing process? Because I'm like, I don't know what could not be in here. How did you make these decisions? It's so hard because they're so good.
Well, the decision was a group effort. Not when I say group, it was her and I. I just like when I began writing this book. I actually wrote the book in less than a month and a half. The poems just came. Some days five, some days six, some days one, and I was just sitting down one day and I was just looking at the poems and I was like, this should be a book. So I said, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing, and they were like, oh, absolutely, please do. So put it together. In the process of writing this, there are about another 50 or 60 poems that didn't make it. So those are archives. That's for them. That's their private little stash. So we went through like, what do you think? And here's what I picked, and blah 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 blah. And it was like, okay, great. So that's how the book came together as far as the structure of the poems go. The editing, the people that in the back that special thanks they helped me edit. They helped me look at it and say, hey, did you mean to say this, or did you mean this? That word is wrong there. Let's switch it up here. Stuff editing from that standpoint. My village helped me out, and I greatly appreciate them.
That's so good. That's so good to know that everybody had a hand in it and you didn't just jump out there like, I'm doing this regardless. You weren't that bull. You were
Nah,
very
yeah.
cognizant of other people's opinions, and that was so good. So is there a weekly poem that gets exchanged, or do you just is it
I
is it
think
when the encounters happen that you're like, you know what, I got to go home and write something? How do you get inspiration? How do you get inspired to keep these flowing?
okay. So I don't really consider myself a poet, right? Because I think poets that really do it, have studied the craft, right? Have really taken some time into it. Like I have friends, like I have a friend, her name is Cynthia. She's a teacher at a university. She teaches English. So she knows the mechanics of English. She knows how, this goes there, this goes. They understand that. So I'm around poets who know things like that. So it's hard for me to say I'm a poet. What I say is my expression is emotional outburst, right? I get a feeling and I run with the feeling. So if the feeling could be sad because I heard about a young man getting killed, a young man going to jail, so then I'll write in that vein. I have a few poems about, of course, the Trayvon Martin situation and all of those kind of things that happened, police brutality. I got poems about that as well. So it depends on where I'm at emotionally to where the poem will flow. I will be sitting around and the person that come across mine, we might have had a great time a couple of days ago, and just that visual image in my head, like, oh, start writing. So, for me, I think for me to press just to like, okay, I'm gonna write a poem every day, it becomes too much of a tedious process because I have to be in an emotional space to do that. I have to see it. Um, yeah, I would say that's my process. That's my process to establish what the emotion is and go from there.
That's really good. That's really good to hear, especially, I mean, I'm Black, you're Black, so I guess I just need to say it's beautiful to hear a Black man expressing himself in another way that is not the normal, like you were saying earlier, being a bull in a china shop. So how did you get to this place? What kind of work, if you could tell somebody that was possibly, like, I don't want to tap into my feelings. I don't want to feel that. How did you get to this space to be able to talk freely about it and then also translate it into poetry?
So to be 100% transparent, the night that I knew that my marriage was possibly over, there was a situation that took place, and I had my children at the time, so I couldn't go do anything. I couldn't go do what Tony would do. I couldn't go put hands on somebody to make this thing happen. So what I did in the instance was that I just something told me to start writing. So I started writing gibberish, and by the end of the night, that gibberish became flowing of words. So in the morning, I felt better. I still had the situation that I had to deal with, but I felt better. And I hadn't started doing the work yet, but I realized what I had put on paper had moved me from a destructive mindset to a soothing mindset that I could think through what I needed to do next. So from that point, every time something would rise in me, I would write instead of react. Right. One of the things I used to say about poetry, God gave me poetry to show me the emotions of the hearts I've broken. Right. So you think that because somebody breaks your heart or somebody does something wrong to you, right, that it's all their fault. Sometimes we got to look into our past, and that's our past catching up to us. So some of those emotions that was there and some of the hurt that was there, I caused, and you have to identify with that. And I was able to identify with that over time. And again, the emotional outburst would come, and I would, put pen to paper, put pen to thumbs to phone, and write it out, and get to a space where I felt better. I tell everybody if you are a young man and you need to journal, you need to get a pen and paper and just go journal. Put your feelings on the paper. Keep it to yourself if you don't want to share, but you have to get it out because most men, unfortunately, and I hate to say most, but I'm gonna say it for this instance, we don't know how to deal with our emotions. We don't know how to separate what they are. We don't know how to identify what they're coming from. So we automatically go to rage, and that's the problem. That is an absolute problem because we are God made us way better than that. God gave us a plethora of emotions that we can sort through. That's what makes us fully human, and that's another reason why people ask why do women hurt but they come out of it faster because they get in their girlfriends groups and they have the conversations and they talk about it and they cry and they purge. If I went to before this healing journey, if I went to my friends, it's like, oh, she broke my heart. Oh God, blah 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 blah. As a matter of fact, a thought just jumped into my head. The first time I really, really had my heart broken. Young lady came to the house. She told me it was over. I walked her back to her house. Walked back to my house in the rain, crying, but it was raining, soaking wet, thunderstorm, soaking wet. I'm like Linus, just walking, just a cloud of darkness over me. I walked in the house and crawled into my mother's lap. My mother had happened to be at the house. She's like, "What's the matter?" I crawled on the couch into her lap and cried like a baby. Then I went downstairs and told my best friend, "Hey, blah, 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 blah." And they all laughed at me. It was like, yo, I was young. I was like 21, 20, 21. And it was like, yo, Playboy, I thought this could never happen to you. And so it's a big difference when you grow up in a space where you're not able to do that. You got to be this strong exterior person. So for about 6 to 7 months, I was reckless because I didn't know how to get that out in front of my friends unless I was, trying to chase down a new chick, trying to get into a fight, just something that had nothing to do with the emotions I was dealing with. So now, on this healing journey, I'm able to navigate my feelings. I'm able to deal with my feelings, and I have a great team around me. I have my best friend, other women, men, my godfather, who's my bishop at my church. Just you got to have those people around you that hold you accountable for your actions and help you navigate what these feelings are. Because it's nothing better than going to somebody, like if I called you up and say, hey Queen, I'm not feeling it. And you just listen. You don't judge, you don't try to correct, just listen. That is so soothing to have a safe place to go to. And I think that's another problem. Like men don't have a real safe place to go to and really express themselves without, feeling like they're less than.
Yeah, community is so important. And I know we do rally with each other, and we're going to get the degrees. We're going to come back. Our best revenge is going to be our success and all the things. But I love hearing it from the male perspective. So women, we know y'all do this, but we're saying guys at this time in this particular scenario now guys do need community to be able to thrive, and guys beget guys, right? So you're going to be able to share this with another guy, and he's going to say, you know what, I've had a May in my life, and maybe she didn't make me feel this way, but she broke my heart, and they'll be able to open up with you. So I would love to hear what's next for Tony Watts.
What's next? Well, I just came from a meeting. I'm working on a one-man show. It's something that's huge for me. It's really, really huge. I'm looking to pull that off for 2025. I have 2 books that I'm working on. One I've been working on for 3 years. It's called a little bit longer. It's called Words I've Never Said. It's a bunch of essays on love, life, and relationships. Just to navigate through my marriage, where it fell apart, where I came up short. And I just want to talk to the fathers, or just men in general, right? Or the audience in general. We come down on fathers, absentee fathers, right? We give absentee fathers a really bad name. You're a deadbeat dad, and you're this, that, and the other. An absentee father is also a father that's in the home, but he's mostly unattached to the family. He's just walking, he's just coming and going. He's doing all the things. He might go to the ball games. He might pick him up and take him to their doctor's appointments, but he's not emotionally available. You're an absentee father. If you think that only thing you need to do is pay the bills and not be a part of the child's life, you're an absentee father. And I'm not saying this as a downplay to anyone else. I'm saying this from experience. Your children are being affected from you being an absentee father. They need your emotions as much as they need the woman's emotions. So if you're not pouring into your children, if you're not having real conversations with them, you're not giving them the opportunity to express themselves, to learn what they want to learn, to watch what they're watching, you're being an absentee father. And I think that's worse than the guy who never shows up, because they get to see you every day and not show up.
That's so good. That's actually a whole nother podcast. We can go into a whole nother
Yeah.
segment with that. I appreciate you sharing that because that is so true. The a child needs both parents,
Right. Right.
both to be emotionally available for to
Yeah.
make a complete person. So I definitely agree with you on that. Where can people, well, first of all, make sure you put me on the list of to know, be in the know with the One Man Show. I definitely want to come
Yeah.
meet you in person, snap my fingers, fist bump, whatever the scenery has for me. I would love to be there to witness this in person. So please put me on the list. I don't know, email, whatever, however you're going to blast it
We'll
out. But
do.
please
We'll
let
do.
me
We'll
know in
do.
advance so I'll be able to be there to continue to support you. Let the Pathfinders know where they can find you on social media.
Okay, so let me back up a little bit because I got caught in that whole thing.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So we're doing the One Man Show. We have 2 books coming out. One is an anthology with an incredible poet that I know from Instagram. The other two people will be my nephew and my son. Um, we're working on that now. The book I just told you about, Words I've Never Said, so that will be done. And then there's several journals I'm trying to put together. I have a prayer journal that I'm putting together, and I also have a journal for just men and women to just sort through their feelings. Like I said before, if you're not sorting through your feelings, you're not writing them down, you can find them within yourself. That's a huge problem. Um, I'm trying to get my acting bug back on. Uh, uh, Cheryl, who had me in her last 2 plays, she has an Easter play coming up. I'm trying to get the role of Pontius Pilate. Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to do it differently, and I'm just trying to do some things. I'm just trying to explore the world and really let Tony Watts be who Tony Watts is. I've been hiding for a very very long time, so it's time to give it my all. Just to have it happen. Unfortunately, it's the twilight of the years, but we're gonna do it anyway. Gonna do it anyway.
Yes, absolutely. There's always time. God gives us that time, so it's time. There's no twilight. It's time. You're only as old as you feel. I was listening to a podcast a couple weeks back, and the gentleman was saying, "What if there was no calendar to tell you when your birthday was?
Right.
How old would you be?
Right.
How old do you feel?" And so I'm like, okay, I feel a good 30.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm actually 38 for the rest of my life.
Hey, I'm right behind you. I'm 30. Now, when my daughter turns 30, then I might have to recalibrate. But yeah, you're
Yeah.
only as old as you feel. I think
Right.
God gives us that space and that time to be able to do the things and to use the gifts that He has put for us. Maybe if you used it before, maybe we mishandled it. Maybe we
Right.
didn't use it quite
No
right.
idea. Right.
Yeah. So at this time, with the wisdom that you have, the maturity that you have, I believe that like anything, there's a time for every season. So
Oh,
let everybody.
I'm sorry
No,
again.
go ahead.
Also, a purpose coach, life, love, and relationship coach. So, if anybody wants to reach out to me for that, we can have a conversation. I'm always, not always, but I have the opportunity. No, let's use your word. I've been given the grace to speak to people and help them through their marriages, through their relationships. And that's one of the things that makes my heart really, really proud. That God has given me through all of the things that I've been through. He's given me the space to look at something and be able to see where the situation is and where the problem is and how to convert it, how to change it around. I've talked to several people over the last month or so, and at least 3 relationships that were on their way out have been mended. I'm getting praise reports like, "Hey, Tone, I don't know what you said to him, but hey, Tone, I don't know what you said to her, but we've been great right now." And I always tell my clients that don't allow the season of blessings, the season of calm, to disrupt when the season of roughness comes back. That's
Mhm.
recalibration. That's,
Yeah.
oh wait, we got off track. Let's not get angry with each other. Let's figure out what that is. So we do that as well. And the website will be up probably by the time this podcast drops.
Okay, that sounds so good. And I will put all the information to connect with Tony in this description. So don't you even worry. As soon as you click on here and subscribe, now then you
You
will be
gotta
able.
subscribe. You gotta subscribe. Right.
Hey,
Don't be shacking up. Don't just be coming peeking in. Subscribe. Hit that
make a
subscribe button.
commitment. Just
Hit
make
that
it.
Make a commitment. Absolutely.
Yes. Well, I appreciate your time, Tony. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
And during this season, may grace and peace be multiplied to you. And remember that sharing our experiences is not only empowering, it can help light the path.